Okay, we are back in studio here for Western States pre-race interviews. Joining us now, Ryan Montgomery just finished up the vertical here at Broken Arrow, the Broken Arrow Ascent, I should say. How was it out there
The ascent,
today?
that was only 2+ miles, but it was fun. Yeah. It's something that I don't really do. I'm not like a VO2 max expert, but it was just fun. It was enjoyable.
Why did you jump into it? So for our viewers and listeners, 3 Western States athletes were on the start line today. Killian, Chris Myers, yourself. Why'd you do it? What were the goals? How did it go?
I don't think I had any like performance or like reasons for like performance or to like help my training other than just to have fun.
Yeah.
And because I'm planning to be here all week anyway, between Broken Arrow, TrailCon, and States, I'm like, might as well just like participate in all the action. And then I think seeing Jim do it last year, I was like, okay, so you totally can't mess your body up if you do it. So I think all of that combined told me like, oh, might as well just go do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the real focus is next Saturday, Western States. Your third in a row. Fill the listeners in on your 2 experiences here because I think it's relatable and they were very different. 7th in 2023 and then a rough go last year. I remember the live stream had you on camera at the Pointed Rocks aid station where you were just sitting in the chair chatting with your crew. Had a good attitude, but clearly not having your day.
We were last year was interesting. I can definitely give the whole Zaga story behind that.
Yeah.
But like even like rewinding even more.
Yeah.
Like I've been in States 5 times actually.
Right, I remember.
But then I got injured 2 times in a row and like couldn't participate. So that's why 2023 was really special to me. Had a great day, performed pretty well, got 7th place, passed Matthew Blanchard earlier. And then he passed me like on Railby Point, which was like frustrating, but also it's fine. And then, had all the intention to go all in this last year. And I think I was the fittest I'd ever been in my life last year. And I like was really eyeing on like a top 5, maybe even podium potential performance. And I got COVID actually at TrailCon.
Really?
That's my thesis, my hypothesis. But I woke up on race morning with like a little tickle in my throat.
Yeah.
And my crew was telling me like, Ryan, it's fine. It's like just a little thing.
God,
and then when I got to
nightmare.
Duncan Canyon, like it was full on symptoms. And not only was it full on symptoms, it was like extreme GI distress.
Oh no.
It was a total disaster. So pretty much from mile 50 to the finish, it was like run walk situation. So.
Tell us about the resolve to finish because it takes a certain amount of pride and character, I think, to march it through. It would have been easy for you to pack it in that day.
I mean, I wasn't injured. I wasn't like causing bodily damage. I mean, I guess you can argue running with COVID causes bodily damage, which I didn't know at the time. I knew I had COVID after the race.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking to myself about how it's like such a privilege to be at Western States because only so many people get to run it. There's people that wait a decade to run it. And so I'm in this race, like I better finish it as long as I'm not causing like extreme harm to myself. So I kind of told my pacers that I'm like, you need to get me to the finish line. That's kind of the purpose now is just to finish and be able to, pay that respect to the race that is so special.
It's very cool. And you fought hard to get back this year. You tried at Tarawera and then you went to Chianti, but then ultimately did the shorter race.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
my Jason Coop and my coach, we were deciding like, do we go for it at Chianti or Canyons? And I didn't feel ready at Chianti. I also was on a school ski trip right before that and probably had a few too many drinks. So I was like, okay, actually we're just going to have fun at Chianti.
Yeah.
But then got it at Canyons.
All right. So fill the listeners in here because Ryan and I got to see you at Canyons. I got to chase you a little bit with a camera. And when I picked you up on Cal Street, we're probably about 45 miles into the 100K at that point. The first thing out of your mouth is, I'm hunting. And then when you got to the finish line, you didn't know whether you had the golden ticket. You knew you were close, but to me, it felt like it would have been an anxiety-inducing final call it 20K of the race. So just share with the audience, like what was going through your mind there, the hunting mindset, and then the joy of finding out that you got in.
I think coming to the Canyons 100K moment where it's like, this is the last opportunity if I do want to come to States. Yeah. I felt that pressure a lot. And I remember talking to Jason before the race and my best friend Tina, and we were just talking about how like, I need to be like truly all in. Not that I'm never all in on a race, but I need to find every crevice and corner of like my capacity and like bring it out. And actually at the beginning of the race, I think I turned the dial up too hard at the beginning because it's a net downhill. Right. And I remember getting to the first climb and my legs felt like today on the ascent. Yeah. my quads were shot and I was like a little bit panicked in the sense I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have 55 miles. Like, how is the day going to shake out? Uh-huh. And so that's why I kind of was a little bit more in the back at the beginning of the race. But when I got to Michigan Bluff, I remember just like the words like of just like how much I need to commit. And like now this is the rest of the course after Michigan, I think speaks to my strength of just like runnable terrain and like net downhill and like punchy climbs. So I just like sent it all the way from like Robbins or Forest Hill to the, confluence and just like took over so many positions. And I think that mantra of just like being committed, like you never know what's going to happen unless you like fully commit. Yeah. And yeah, it manifested. And I think something that gave me energy throughout the day is that whole Cal Street section, as I was passing racers, none of them responded to me. Like I just kept passing them and I would look back and they weren't following me. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence that like, oh, everyone's fading and I'm actually accelerating. So I think I kept that spirit all the way to the finish because I was like, you never know what's going to happen. Like someone might not take a ticket. Someone might, fall out of the race right at the end. You never know, stuff like that happens. So that's why I just kind of try to keep the pedal all the way to the end.
Yeah. It was so.
Does that help you understand?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. It was so special to see the finish too. Craig presenting you a golden ticket again and you graciously accepting. So I'd love to hear you talk about what you've been doing since then. I saw you at the Memorial Day training camp where you did some extra credit, let's say. You did sort of like the training camp plus, some additional volume. And then the following weekend you went and raced a 50K. So you've clearly been putting yourself, you're pushing the training, it seems like, to the maximum here, at least in the critical final block to Western States. Am I interpreting that accurately?
Yeah. I would say on paper, my training has gone pretty much how I'd want it to go in terms of volume. It's pretty much just like running a 50K every weekend or more. I've done like more than 40-mile training runs a couple times. Followed up with another long run pretty consistently every weekend. Yeah. So it's not like sexy work and then throw in 1 or 2 workouts a week. So on paper, it's been great. I think something I've been trying to manage actually has been life stress. Since Canyons, I have finished my first year of school, moved across the country, started a new job. I've like done all that in the past month. Yeah. So that's been a lot of, stress management, and I'm not the best at managing stress. But I would say as I reflect on how I've executed and prepared for Western States, I would give myself an A.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm happy.
Say more about that because I was going to ask you also, you're in grad school, currently working at Google, doing a little bit of practical application of your new education. I'm sure the audience would be interested to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah. Are you mostly curious about just
both? What's the motivation to go back to school when you're a pro athlete? And then also, what are you doing working in the tech sector right now?
Yeah. So for context, like, I don't know if people know my professional background, but I've been like a corporate person ever since college. I was a strategy consultant and been in tech sales for the past 3 years. And then, I just had this idea last year to go get an MBA just because, number one, it sounded fun, but I also got a really generous offer from Dartmouth to attend their program. Wow. And so I just felt like, what other chance do you get do you get to get, an elite MBA that's like basically free.
Wow.
I was like, I have to take that opportunity. And then I also thought about how like quitting my day job and being a full-time student would actually be an unlock for my training. But I was so wrong.
Really?
I was so wrong because just like MBA school is not inherently hard. Like it is hard, but what's difficult about it is the time management because you're opting into school, but you're also opting into like the social aspect of school.
Yeah, that's what everybody says about going to business school.
Yeah. And
it's
I
like all
knew
about the
that, but I
relationships.
didn't realize like to what degree. And I think, training 15 plus hour weeks plus all of that has been incredibly difficult. I think last fall I like mentally was like very unwell. And I think that's why I didn't race last fall. But yeah, to be honest, pretty much this whole year, it is like, I've been like fiercely prioritizing every single day.
Yeah.
It's like sun up to sundown. I'm like calendared every hour for like when I'm working out, when I'm schooling, when I'm doing this, when I'm doing that, when I'm being social. So it's tough, but I think I'm proud of myself for really committing to both and executing both really well. Cause like, I think I've crushed school. I got like a really dream job at Google and I got my golden ticket income. Like I feel like I'm doing it all.
And you get to live in Marin County.
And I'm living in Marin.
And we're doing our darndest to try and secure you in perpetuity. At Memorial Day training camp, what I'm referencing here is, you're a free agent in terms of where you're going to be living after your education is over.
You don't have to sell me on Marin because I used to live in San Francisco and I love SF and the General Bay. But we're trying out Marin for the summer. We're seeing the vibes. Yeah. So I do like the sunshine. Yeah. It's nice.
Okay, so one of the things Ryan and I were talking about yesterday, Ryan Thrower, who's just off camera, just to clarify, was that you're maybe the most experienced 100-mile racer in the field next weekend. How does that benefit you? Or do you view it as an advantage? You've done 1,700-mile finishes, including a couple 200s, right?
At least one 200.
Yeah.
I would say it's an advantage just from, for anyone who's run a 100-miler, I feel like your first one's usually bad. I'm not saying that for everyone, but it's usually bad because there's just so much more problem solving that goes into a 100-miler. Yeah. And so I would say it's beneficial in the sense that like I've experienced everything that can possibly happen except last year when I got COVID. Yeah. That can happen in a 100-miler. And so that gives me confidence whenever I line up to a 100-miler that I feel confident that I can execute. I think you've called me like a steady Eddie in 100-mile racing. Like I'm pretty consistent in executing.
Very consistent.
I think where there's cons to my background is that you can argue that maybe there's what's the word I'm looking for? You get used to like the ways of how you've done things. And so actually for me, as I've been thinking about what is next for Ryan as a competitive athlete, it's finding like the new edge of like high performance. Cause like I am a competitive person. I objectively do well, but I think I'm still exploring like, what is this high end echelon of like, what does Ryan racing look like?
Is that part of why you put your name on the Cocodona 250 list?
Heck yeah, for sure. And also I think just like the general hyping community around Cocodona excites me, but also it's like, I want to find new parts of Ryan performance wise. And I think that's why I want to do races like Western States is because it pushes me in that way.
Yeah. Awesome. So as we wind down, I'd love to get your 2 cents on how you're viewing the race and the field in general. I feel like it's kind of unpredictable where there's been all this chatter about course records being in danger. The weather looks about average, maybe a couple degrees below. There's no snow in the high country. But also we've seen some attrition, including some of the big dogs like Jim and Hayden, et cetera. So do you have a sense as you meditate on your race strategy and stuff, like what the dynamic might be in the men's race and how you might respond?
I think there's a lot of ANSI racers, especially in the men's field. And I think that's going to lead to an incredibly fast first part of the race. I don't know how much that's going to be a delta or different from other years. Do I think a course record's in contention this year? I don't think so. But I think what's going to happen is I think we're going to see probably top 10 all under 15. My hope is that there's actually a large, it doesn't get spread out too much and we all push each other to like new degrees of like performance. For me personally, if we're talking just about time, like my goal is I would love to run sub 15. I think that's definitely something I like objectively want to do. And I think we're all going to be able to achieve like these high performance goals if we all like kind of push each other. So I think that's going to happen a lot on Saturday next week.
Okay. Final question for you here. Who's on team Montgomery next weekend? Crew? And then also who's going to be pacing you for those last 40 miles?
Yeah. Some of my best friends, Rachel, Tina, Aubrey from Salt Lake is going to be one of my pacers. And then my mom.
Aubrey Meyer?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Aubrey is going to be pacing me to the Cal Street section. And then my mom is coming and my little sister is coming to, undetermined if they're going to crew at all, but my little sister has never come to any of my races.
All right.
Just for whatever reason. So this will be your first time to see Big Brother, race. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan, it's great to have you back at Western States. Good luck next weekend.
Thank you so much.